How do we tame the chaos of the mind? Thinking is the cause of all suffering. Stop thinking and end all of your problems. Why? Because we think we're somebody doing something. We think we're in control, which is what? The cause of all suffering. We think we know. And when we think we're in control, we're caught in the cycles of suffering. Right? So how do we tame this chaos, which is what? The thinking mind is the chaotic mind. Remember, the ego, which is the thinking mind, is having a house party. And he's having a slamming house party full of his guests, which are what? All the thoughts are invited to the slamming house party. The divine's waiting at the door knocking, but nobody can hear. So surrender is how we tame the chaos of the mind, being present. But we can also look at, where does this chaos come from? The sea of stimulation, aggravation, and information is perpetuated by the illusion to keep us trapped in these cycles of thoughts, which gets us caught in things like regret, control, shame, guilt, sin, obligation, expectation, many of these things, right? These are all attachments. These are all tricks of the illusion to keep us attached through the thinking mind. But when we stop thinking long enough and become the observer, we start to see we are simply nature running off. And we start to release these attachments to all of these identifications we have with our somebodyness, with the actor. Because when you are present, you are disconnecting your identification with the actor, with the ego, the somebodyness. This is dissolving the ego. The house party guests are leaving one by one the more we are present, until we really get down and deep into presence, and the divine is just coming in. Along with that goes purification of the vessel. Presence and purification, the two greatest devotions to God. Why? Presence is surrender, the highest devotion to God, giving it all up, stop thinking, and end all of your problems and all of your attachments and all of your suffering and all of your identification with the actor. Thinking you're somebody doing something. We are identifying with the doer through the thinking mind. So we think we're actually doing something. We're in control. Control is an illusion that only exists in the thinking mind. We think we're in control. What happens when we stop thinking? Surrender. Giving up control. I repeat this so much because why? I need to keep hearing it, and you need to keep hearing it. That's why we're here together on this journey. This is what's happening right now in this exchange of conditioning type deal, right? I'm using my conditioning to make this video. I ain't doing nothing. Ain't nobody here doing nothing is talking to you. I know I don't know. So when people try to argue with me about perspectives, I say, I give up. Because arguing is a waste of time. I can only ever express my perspective and experience and level of understanding, ever. And that's that, right? That is why I don't argue or debate. Go back to the present moment. Surrender, highest devotion to God, and also purification, right? And also, the more we are present, we empty and reconstitute the mind. which creates the space. We have to drain all this information that keep pumping into us. Eventually, we got to realize we got to pump the brakes. Maybe I should stop taking in information. Very important, because this allows your mind bucket. I have a video called the mind bucket, full mind, empty mind, something like that, talking about how our minds are full and they keep getting oversaturated. So what we need to do is reconstitute the mind, allow the mind the necessary space without the constant flow of information blocking it to release itself, to reconstitute itself, to allow the programs to run through themselves and putter out and be gone until we are reached more of a present moment. And then this allows us to gain deeper understandings from all the different perspectives we are currently in, even if they are repetitive. The more we do it, the deeper our understanding. Remember, we're just observing anyway. It doesn't even matter where you are or what you're doing. You're not on any level. You're just a conscious being gaining deeper understanding of it all from your specific vantage point of your incarnation. And it's all coming back to being God observing itself, being a vessel for our cosmic beloved to work through us. So whatever you're going through, it's all about detaching from identifying with the doer and the actor, because that has us caught in these cycles of suffering. But when we step back and observe whatever is happening, our nature running off, our chemistry and conditioning, it's wild. You realize you are in these specific perspectives and situations because you are gaining a deeper understanding. Very important concept, this deeper understanding. Because the deeper understanding we have of whatever we're going through, this allows us to be present more, which is going to dissolve that attachment to our ego self, our somebodyness. And it's going to get us closer to the center of the circle. Stand in the center of the circle and allow all things to take their course. Be the observer. Don't get attached to the game, the illusions playing a game. It's constantly throwing flashing lights at us and sounds and treats to stimulate us, right? Because it needs us attached to our ego. It keeps us in lower limiting perspectives. And the controllers, or they, as I call them, right? And I have many videos about explaining this and who they are feeding off of us in these lower limiting perspectives, kind of like the Matrix, energetically. So they need us constantly stimulated. They need us caught in the cycles of thought, because then we think we're somebody doing something. We think we're in control, and we think we know, and we're easier to control and to manipulate and to suppress. So the name of the game is surrender, is the present moment. And to do that, though, we have to realize what the aggravators are, what's aggravating the thinking mind. What's aggravating, what is causing chaos in the thinking mind? Things that are aggravating it. When we can start to recognize the world is made, the sea of stimulation, aggravation, and information is made specifically to perpetuate these cycles of thought, to get us caught in the illusion, specifically because they need us caught in there so they can control us. To free the planet and ourselves, we have obviously to free ourselves, we have to go within and to stop thinking. And that's every second we stop thinking, every second we are being present, we are being the observer, we are dissolving the attachment to our ego, which is how much we are caught in the illusion. And this raises the vibration of the whole planet, baby. So all of us collectively on this journey, we're just, it's going. It's the ascension of humanity. And then here we are gaining deeper understandings as conscious beings in these different perspectives, which allows us to do things like what? Like teach. You learn as you go, you teach as you learn as you teach. And you keep going. Your conditioning is giving conditioning. Your conditioning is conditioning, and you're only doing you're only acting based off your chemistry and conditioning, your nature running off. And then sometimes, like in my case, my conditioning is conditioning myself by trying to stay present and being the observer, allowing the divine to flow through us in a more present state. We are conditioning ourselves. I make these videos for myself, and obviously for you, my brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining me, right? Because we're all doing this together. There's only one trip, man, and this is it. We're on it together. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful trip of becoming the observer and realizing we are nature running off, baby. Ain't nothing to do. I'm gonna get a t-shirt that says ain't nothing to do. That'd be a good t-shirt, right? But to do nothing. Stop thinking. Everything else is just a trap of the flash and light game. Anytime we get caught up, we start to feel stressed, we sort of anxiety, regret. I should have done that. Why didn't I ever do that? That's just the mind cranking, pulling you back in the illusion, causing you suffering. Because we think we're in control. I should have done that. Anytime we think, if I had only done that, you were never going to do that. You were always going to do what you do because you can only act based off your chemistry and your conditioning. So you've never made a mistake. You've never made a wrong choice or decision. Ever. Because whatever happens was always going to happen because it happens. You can only act based off your nature running off. That's it. You ain't doing nothing. Thinking you're the doer is just an attachment of the ego, the thinking mind. So anything that's happened or that's going to happen, we can just simply observe. We don't have to be attached. Why didn't I do this? If I had just done this, I would have made way more money. Well, A, we ain't chasing money anyway. But B, that's just a trap of the thinking mind and the ego, right? You get caught in the world and the illusion and things like money and things and like this. Sometimes it starts to draw you in because the allure is very strong, the traps of the illusion. And our programming is still there. Even if we're dissolving some of it, some of it's still there. Like, I had a little bit of that programming left. So we come back to the present moment and we dissolve all this programming. We stop taking in information, which gives us the necessary space to take in deeper understanding in infinite perspectives, maybe repeating, so we can gain a deeper understanding. And all this comes from being the observer and taming the chaos of the mind. Facilitating a state of peace, reconstituting, emptying the mind, purifying the body, right? Surrender, letting it all go, coming back to the eternal present moment of God's love. which allows us to be our highest self. All there is to do nothing. And always come back to that anytime we get caught up in the game, because we still getting caught up in the game. That's for sure. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here, right? We're still getting caught up in the game, and we just need to help each other out. This is what I'm doing: is I'm helping myself out and you guys out by issuing constant reminders what it's all about, because the illusion is especially feisty. You know what I'm saying? It's especially a little muy cayenne, right? The illusion goes hard in the paint. Goes hard in that paint. And it ain't gonna stop. So here we are. And I ain't gonna stop with the reminders, saying the same shit in every video I make. Because we need these reminders on a daily basis, basically. Some of us do. Or when we find them when we need them specifically. If you're watching this video, you found it at the perfect time. Your conditioning was ready to receive this, and as my condition is ready to present this, to give this. So we're here together in such beautiful divine timing. There is only divine timing. Everything that happens is always divine timing. That's all there is. Because remember, we're not making choices. We're just nature running off. It's all just God observing itself. But then the thinking mind gets cranking with all the stimulation, and we create separation. There's our separation. We come back to oneness by surrendering, giving our undivided attention to God, and realizing in every moment it is unnecessary to think. To think we have to think, to plan, or what about the future? What about, I got to think about this. That's not trusting God. Right? We need to give it all up, the thinking mind. Let the monkey mind go and allow the eternal love of God to flow through us, the eternal present moment of God's love to flow through us. And this is how we free the world. This is we free ourselves, we're freeing the world. So if you want to have the greatest impact, if any of us wants to have the greatest impact on this world, the greatest thing we can do is surrender, is to stay present, stop thinking, removing the things that are aggravating and stimulating the information of the mind, removing the foods and the physical, the toxic things, and putting in the healing, hydrating, energetic foods like fruits, berries, melons, vegetables, things like this. Hydrating, energetic. These foods will help calm the body and the mind, which will allow us to stay present more and will allow us to clean and detoxify, remove the congestion from these bodies that have been heavily programmed into the toxic food program, the prison society, and the suppression of our consciousness and our being in every facet. That's part of the game of the controllers. But they're just nature running off too. Because that's all it is. And no matter what's going on, all the chaos is what happens in the world of the ego, where everybody thinks they're somebody doing something. And they think they're in control. And they think they know. That's why the chaos, that's all perpetuated by the stimulation. Once we stop thinking, we flip the script, flip the name of the game. And to stop thinking long enough, we have to be in a pretty peaceful state, right? Because an unaggravated state. That's why nature is so calming. Why I say, oh, it's so good for us to take a walk in nature. You're taking away all the stimulation and returning to your natural state. And then we compare that to going back into the prison society with all the screens and the information and aggravation and stimulation, and realize this is why I'm out of balance. I'm too much stimulation everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's some sort of stimulation. Buying things, making money, entertainment, food, substances, stimulation. This is all to keep us sucked in. So we must simply become the observer. That is how we free ourselves and we free the world. As above, so below. I am God's eternal love pouring forth. Namaste.